Welcome, rare gems. Your real strength is not measured by how well life treats you, but by what you are able to do when life stops cooperating. What happens to a woman when the life she carefully built suddenly stops making sense? A job disappears, money becomes tight, a relationship ends, a business struggles. Plans that once felt certain suddenly become impossible. These moments reveal something deeper than personality. They reveal how a person thinks when comfort is no longer doing the thinking for them. This is where the Sigma female becomes interesting. She is not some superhuman woman who never gets scared, never cries, or always knows what to do. That version is fantasy. She can feel overwhelmed, just like anyone else. What makes her different is her ability to eventually separate emotion from the decision in front of her. She can adjust without believing she has become less. She can lose a plan without believing she has lost herself. She can live with less without turning temporary hardship into shame. She can question information instead of joining a panic simply because everyone else is panicking. And perhaps, most importantly, she understands that survival is not always about fighting harder. Sometimes it means changing direction, simplifying your life, walking away, learning something new, or accepting a painful loss before it becomes an even bigger one. If you recognize these qualities in yourself, maybe that is why the word Sigma has always felt strangely familiar. Your strength may not be that life never breaks your plans. It may be that you keep learning how to build new ones. So stay thoughtful, stay adaptable, protect your character while allowing your circumstances to change. Now let's get started. The rare gems. Number 1. She can become extremely practical when reality gets serious. There is something interesting about a woman who knows when a situation has stopped being a game. A Sigma female may spend plenty of time thinking, observing, questioning, and considering different possibilities. But when reality becomes serious, she can switch gears quickly. The things that seemed important yesterday can suddenly look completely pointless. During a crisis, she is less interested in who was right during an old argument and more interested in what needs to be done now. She may stop caring about appearances and start caring about results. Who is watching becomes less important. What works becomes more important. Take something simple. Imagine a family suddenly facing a serious financial problem. Some people might spend weeks blaming each other, arguing about how things went wrong, or pretending everything is still fine. A practical Sigma female is more likely to sit down and ask uncomfortable but useful questions. What money is available? What expenses can be cut? What can be sold? Who can help? What skill can bring in income? What needs to change immediately? That mindset can look cold from the outside, but it is often just clarity under pressure. She understands that panic does not pay bills. Complaining does not repair broken plans, and pretending everything is fine does not make a difficult situation disappear. This does not mean she has no emotions. She may be frightened, she may cry, she may feel completely overwhelmed. The difference is that she does not allow those feelings to become the only voice making decisions. When life becomes serious, she becomes serious too. And this is one reason she can survive difficult seasons. She knows how to remove the unnecessary and focus on what actually matters. A crisis can take away comfort, status, routines, and certainty. But if she can still think clearly, learn quickly, adapt, and take useful action, she still has something extremely valuable. She has herself, and she knows how to use that strength wisely. Number 2, she can reduce her life without feeling that she has become less. One of the hardest things for people to accept is that a smaller life does not automatically mean a lesser life. When circumstances change, many people struggle because they have connected their possessions, lifestyle, income, or social position to their sense of worth. Take those things away, and suddenly they do not know who they are anymore. A Sigma female can approach this differently. She understands that losing comfort is painful, but losing comfort is not the same thing as losing value. If she has to move from an expensive apartment into a smaller place, she can adjust. If she has to stop buying things she once enjoyed, she can live within her new reality. If a business slows down and she has to cut expenses, she may not enjoy it, but she can make the necessary changes without spending all her energy pretending that nothing has changed. That is a powerful form of emotional maturity. She knows the difference between maintaining dignity and maintaining an image. There may be a season when she cooks simple meals, wears what she already owns, travels less, cancels unnecessary subscriptions, or puts certain dreams on hold. None of those things make her less intelligent, less beautiful, less capable, or less worthy. They simply mean she understands that life has seasons. And this is where many people break. They would rather continue living beyond their means than admit that circumstances have changed. They borrow money to preserve an image. They keep expensive habits because they are afraid of what people might think. Eventually, the lifestyle becomes a prison. The Sigma female can step back without feeling ashamed. She can say, "This is what I can afford right now," and keep moving. That mindset gives her room to recover. She does not waste precious energy protecting an old version of her life. She adjusts, learns, rebuilds, and waits for better days. Because she understands something simple but profound. Your circumstances can shrink without your character shrinking with them. Sometimes having less simply reveals how much of you was never dependent on having more. Number 3, she doesn't need to be the strongest person to become useful. Strength is not always the person who can carry the heaviest weight. Sometimes it is the person who knows exactly what needs to be done. This becomes very clear when life gets difficult. During a crisis, people often admire the person who looks fearless, speaks with confidence, or takes control immediately. But real problems are rarely solved by one personality type. Sometimes the person who saves the situation is the one quietly noticing what everyone else has missed. A Sigma female understands this. She does not need to be the strongest person physically, the most experienced person, or the one giving every instruction. She can contribute through careful observation, planning, emotional steadiness, practical knowledge, or simply knowing when a situation has become too dangerous to remain in. Consider a family dealing with an emergency. One person may be physically capable of handling difficult tasks. Another may know first aid. Someone else may know how to contact the right people. Another may remain calm enough to organize everyone. None of these people are competing for the title of strongest. They are filling different gaps. That is the kind of strength that actually matters. A Sigma female can understand that being useful is more important than looking impressive. She does not need to prove that she can handle everything alone if accepting help produces a better outcome. She can also step forward when everyone else is confused and quietly handle the part she knows best. And sometimes her smartest decision is knowing when to leave. If a workplace becomes toxic, a relationship becomes dangerous, or an environment becomes unstable, staying simply to prove toughness is not courage. It can be poor judgment. Knowing when to remove yourself from unnecessary danger can be one of the most intelligent forms of strength. This is why survival is not a personality contest. You do not have to dominate the situation to matter. You do not have to be fearless to be valuable. You simply need to understand what the moment requires and offer what you genuinely have. Sometimes strength carries the load. Sometimes strength organizes the people carrying it. And sometimes strength knows when the smartest thing to do is put the load down and walk away. Number 4. She has practiced losing things mentally before losing them physically. What if this disappears? It is not a comfortable question, but sometimes asking it before life forces you to can make you much harder to break. A Sigma female may have a habit of quietly thinking about what could happen if the things she depends on suddenly changed. What if the job disappears? What if the relationship ends? What if the money becomes tight? What if the people she trusts are no longer available? What if the life she carefully built has to be rebuilt from the ground up? This does not mean she expects disaster around every corner. It means she understands that nothing in life comes with a permanent guarantee. That awareness can create a strange kind of strength. For example, a woman may love her career deeply, but she also knows her job is not her entire identity. She develops other skills. She keeps learning. She builds relationships outside work. She knows what she is capable of beyond the title printed on her business card. So if that job disappears tomorrow, she will be hurt. She may panic. She may cry. She may spend a few sleepless nights wondering what comes next. But somewhere beneath the pain is a quiet understanding. I have lost my position, not myself. That distinction can save a person psychologically. The same applies to relationships. Losing someone you genuinely love can feel like losing part of your future. There is no shame in grieving that. But a Sigma female can eventually separate the person she lost from the woman she still is. She does not romanticize loss. She does not pretend it does not hurt. She simply refuses to let one ending convince her that her entire life has ended. There is something deeply mature about knowing that people, money, careers, homes, opportunities, and circumstances can change without warning. The goal is not to become emotionally detached from everything you love. It is to love deeply, while remembering that your ability to rebuild must never depend entirely on something remaining forever. Because sometimes life takes away the chapter you thought was the whole book. And survival begins when you realize you can still write another one. Number 5. She can leave the old life without losing her direction. There comes a point when staying the same starts costing more than changing. A Sigma female can recognize that moment even when the decision is uncomfortable. She may look at the career she worked for years to build and realize that it no longer fits. She may leave a relationship, move to another city, walk away from a social circle, or completely rethink what she thought she wanted from life. From the outside, people may not understand it. Someone might say, "But you were doing so well." Another person might ask, "Why would you throw everything away?" And sometimes those questions can make you doubt yourself. After all, starting again is not glamorous. It can mean becoming a beginner again, earning less for a while, meeting new people, learning unfamiliar systems, and explaining choices that make perfect sense to you but look strange to everyone else. But there is a difference between being lost and deliberately changing direction. Being lost means you have no idea where you are going. Changing direction means you have realized that the road you are on no longer leads where you want to go. That distinction matters. A woman might spend 10 years building a career because it was considered successful, only to discover that the lifestyle is draining her, the work no longer interests her, and the person she has become does not resemble the person she wanted to be. Walking away does not automatically mean those 10 years were wasted. They may have given her skills, discipline, experience, connections, and a clearer understanding of what she does not want. She takes those lessons with her. This is where her resilience becomes powerful. She does not worship the past simply because she invested heavily in it. She can appreciate what an old chapter gave her without forcing herself to remain inside it. Sometimes survival means protecting what you built. Other times it means having the courage to admit that what you built no longer belongs in your future. And when she leaves, she does not leave her wisdom behind. She carries it into whatever comes next. Number 6. She does not spend her entire life asking, "Why me?" Why me is one of the most natural questions a person can ask when life suddenly becomes unfair. Why did they betray me after everything I did for them? Why did I lose the opportunity I worked so hard for? Why did this happen when I was finally getting my life together? A Sigma female can ask those questions too. She is not made of stone. She can feel disappointed, angry, confused, and deeply hurt. Pretending otherwise would not be strength. It would simply be denial. But she eventually reaches a point where she realizes something uncomfortable. Understanding why something happened does not always change what happened. You can spend 6 months trying to understand why someone treated you badly, and they may never give you an honest answer. You can replay a failed business decision hundreds of times, but the money may still be gone. You can ask why an opportunity passed you by, but the opportunity may not come back. At some point, the question has to change. Instead of constantly asking, "Why did this happen to me?" she starts asking, "What can I do with what I have now?" That question gives her something the first question cannot give her: movement. Suppose she loses her job unexpectedly. She may spend a few days feeling shocked and angry. She may wonder what she did wrong. But eventually she updates her resume, contacts people she knows, learns a useful skill, cuts unnecessary expenses, and starts looking for another opportunity. She has not approved of what happened. She has simply refused to let what happened become the final decision about her life. That is a powerful distinction. Some situations deserve reflection. Some deserve grief. Some deserve anger. But none deserve every remaining year of your life. The past can explain where you are standing, but it cannot tell you where you must remain. A Sigma female learns to respect her pain without building a permanent home inside it. She may never receive the explanation she wanted, but she can still create an answer with what she does next. Number 7. She does not treat stability as a permanent promise. Nothing becomes safer simply because you have become comfortable with it. That is a difficult truth, but understanding it can completely change the way a woman handles life. A Sigma female can appreciate stability without becoming dependent on the belief that stability will last forever. She can enjoy a good career, a healthy relationship, financial security, close friendships, and a peaceful home, while still remembering that circumstances can change. Not because she expects something terrible to happen, because she understands that life is constantly moving. The person you have known for 20 years can eventually become distant. A company that once seemed secure can suddenly restructure. An income that felt reliable can disappear. Children grow up, families change, friendships evolve. Even your own priorities can become different from what they were 5 years ago. That reality can sound frightening, but there is something strangely freeing about accepting it. Suppose a woman has a successful career and everything seems secure. She enjoys it, but she continues learning. She keeps developing skills outside her current position. She maintains relationships beyond her workplace. She saves when she can. She does not do these things because she believes her job will disappear tomorrow. She does them because she knows tomorrow has never signed a contract with anyone. The same principle applies to relationships. She can love someone deeply without turning that person into the foundation of her entire identity. She can build a life with someone while remembering that both people will continue growing and changing. This mindset does not make her cold. In many ways, it allows her to appreciate things more honestly. When you stop assuming something will last forever, you may actually pay more attention to it while you have it. You enjoy the good season without demanding that it become permanent. And when change eventually arrives, it may still hurt. She may grieve. She may struggle. She may need time to adjust. but she is less likely to collapse completely because she never built her entire psychological world around one promise. Things must always remain the way they are. She knows life changes, and instead of fearing that truth, she prepares herself to change with it. Number 8. She does not confuse collective anxiety with reality. Just because everyone is afraid does not mean everyone knows what is happening. That distinction becomes incredibly important during a crisis. Fear is contagious. One person hears something frightening, tells 5 people. Those 5 people tell 5 more, and within hours a rumor can feel more believable than the truth. A Sigma female can recognize that difference. She understands that panic creates its own kind of reality. People begin reacting to what they think might happen, rather than what is actually happening. Social media makes this even easier. One alarming video appears, then another, then dozens of opinions arrive, each one more dramatic than the last. Before long, people are making serious decisions based on information they have not even checked. She can pause. Instead of immediately asking, "What is everyone saying?" she asks, "What do I actually know?" That small question can prevent enormous mistakes. Suppose there is a rumor that a company is about to shut down. Employees start sending messages to each other. Someone claims they heard it from a friend. Another person posts that hundreds of people will lose their jobs. Within an hour, everyone is preparing for disaster. But the Sigma female may take a different approach. She checks the official information. She looks at what has actually been confirmed. She separates facts from assumptions and assumptions from fear. If the company really is in trouble, she can prepare intelligently. If the rumor is false, she has saved herself from unnecessary panic. This does not mean she is emotionally detached. She may still feel nervous. Her heart can race. She can worry about her future like anyone else. The difference is that she does not automatically turn anxiety into evidence. That is a powerful mental habit, because sometimes the biggest danger during a crisis is not the original problem. It is what people do after fear takes control of their judgment. Panic encourages impulsive decisions. Clear thinking creates options. So she slows down before reacting. She checks the source. She asks what is confirmed. She notices what is missing. She waits when waiting is wiser. And when everyone around her is emotionally reacting to what might happen, she keeps returning to one simple question. What do I actually know? That question can become a form of protection. Number 9, she can release a plan without treating it as a personal failure. Changing your mind does not mean the person you were yesterday was foolish. Sometimes it means you finally have information she did not have before. This is a difficult lesson because people naturally become attached to the plans they have spent years building. A woman can spend 5 years pursuing a career, 3 years growing a business, or years trying to make a relationship work. When things stop making sense, walking away can feel like admitting that all that effort was wasted. A Sigma female can eventually see it differently. She understands that effort is not wasted simply because the original destination changes. Imagine a woman who spends years building a career in an industry she once loved. Over time, the work changes. Her priorities change. Maybe the environment becomes unhealthy, or she discovers that the lifestyle no longer suits the person she has become. She could stay simply because leaving would make the previous years feel pointless. But that is a dangerous way to make decisions. The years she spent there gave her experience. She learned how organizations work. She developed communication skills. She built discipline. She discovered what she enjoys and what she cannot tolerate anymore. Those lessons are not erased because she chooses another path. The same applies to a business that no longer works. Perhaps she tried everything she knew, Maybe the market changed. Maybe the numbers simply do not make sense anymore. Closing it can hurt, especially after years of sacrifice. But sometimes continuing is not perseverance. Sometimes continuing is refusing to accept new information. There is wisdom in being able to say, I gave this my best effort, and I have learned enough to know that I need a different direction. That sentence does not make her weak. It makes her adaptable. Life rarely gives us perfect information before we make decisions. We choose with what we know, we gain experience, and then reality teaches us more. A mature woman does not punish herself for learning. She adjusts. She carries the useful lessons forward, leaves behind what no longer works, and allows herself to begin again without constantly looking backward. Because sometimes the plan was not a failure. It simply did its job. It brought her far enough to become the woman who could finally choose a better one. Number 10. She has a low dependency on social consensus. Just because everyone agrees does not automatically make everyone right. This is one of the most useful qualities a Sigma female can develop, especially when a crisis creates pressure to think and behave like everyone else. When people become frightened, they often look sideways before they look inward. They watch what their friends are doing. They listen to what co-workers are saying. They check social media to see what everyone believes. Then, without realizing it, they can mistake popularity for truth. A Sigma female can interrupt that pattern. She can hear what everyone is saying and still ask herself, but does this actually make sense? That question is not rebellion for the sake of rebellion. It is independent thinking. For example, imagine a workplace where everyone believes a particular employee is responsible for a serious problem. The story spreads quickly. People begin treating the accusation as fact because so many people are repeating it. Instead of joining the crowd immediately, she may look at what actually happened, what evidence exists, what is confirmed, what information is missing. She may eventually agree with everyone, but if she does, it is because she reached the conclusion herself. That difference matters. During a crisis, collective thinking can become especially dangerous because people want certainty. They want someone to tell them what to believe and what to do. The problem is that a large group can be completely confident and still completely wrong. History is full of moments when people followed accepted ideas simply because questioning them felt uncomfortable. The Sigma female is willing to tolerate that discomfort. She can say, I need more information. She can say, I disagree. She can even say, I was wrong. That last one is important because independent thinking is not about always being right. It is about being willing to change your conclusion when better evidence appears. Her strength is not opposition. It is intellectual independence. She does not need to fight the crowd. She simply refuses to hand the crowd responsibility for her thinking. And when everyone else is asking, what is everybody doing? She can pause long enough to ask the question that actually matters. Is this the smartest thing to do, artist? In final words, sometimes survival is not about being fearless. It is about knowing what deserves your fear and what does not. That may be the real reason a Sigma female can survive situations that would completely unsettle other people. She is not protected from pain, uncertainty, disappointment, or loss. She simply has a different relationship with them. When life changes suddenly, she can step back, think clearly, and ask herself, what is actually happening, and what can I do about it? She does not need everything to make sense before taking the next step. She can change plans, admit when she was wrong, let go of what no longer works, and rebuild without treating every setback as the end of her story. And if you recognize yourself in these qualities, that may be why you have always felt different. You were never meant to copy everyone else's way of handling life. Your ability to think independently, adapt quietly, and remain grounded when circumstances become difficult is a strength worth developing. So keep learning, Keep preparing. Keep your mind flexible and your values firm. You do not need to become harder to survive. You need to become wiser. Thank you for watching until the end. If this spoke to you, share your thoughts in the comments, share this video with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more. And God bless you, the rare gems.